Coming up on today's episode. Alright, we find ourselves back on the 2P3 radio kit. And I am going to finish up by soldering these. Now, I read the instructions, and it's just basically wanting you to measure current between these points. And I don't think there's really any need to do that, unless you feel like it is. But like I say, for me, I don't think I'm going to do that. Let me get this up just a hair more so you can get a better look at it. Anyway, that's one point right there. That's A. B is right here. I think you can see that right there. And C is all the way down here. And that's the three that I'm going to solder. There's no sense in... I just don't find any really need to measure that. Like I said, to me it's just simple soldering parts on. I mean, that's all there is to it. If you solder them on right and it does what it's supposed to do, it should work. So, anyway, that's just my feeling on it. So you may have a different take on it, but that's fine, too. So that's just the way I'm doing it. So let me solder that and I'll bring you back. I am back again. I do have the radio back together again. It doesn't do anything different than it did the other time. I'm wondering if these batteries are pretty much dead. These were the ones in my keyboard, and that's the only ones I had handy. So, I don't know. Maybe that's the whole problem. But you can hear it just makes a popping sound. And if you listen, put your ear up to the speaker, you can hear the rushing noise that you usually hear with a radio. But it's really silent. Also, while I'm on the subject, like I said, I did go ahead and solder those in. I figured you should get something. What it says, bias current adjustment, and put in new batteries into the battery box, switch radio on, and I'm going to kind of put you up a little bit so I can see that. Multimeter to measure current on point A, B, and C. Check IC1, IC2, and IC3. Now, if they deviate too much, check to see if R1, R5, and R8 are correct and properly soldered. If not, if still not correct, try change R1, R5, and R8 smaller or larger value until correct current is measured. Now on that, I don't know how many of you caught that, but on there nowhere that I can see, and it may be in another part, I don't know, but there is no current listed on what it's supposed to be. Like I said, I don't know if it's just supposed to be even all three or what, but like I said, that's not working. I think it's something to do with the batteries I have in there. Like I said, they're pretty much I won't say dead, but they're on their way. So they've been working all right in the keyboard, but it doesn't take much current, I don't believe. So I think what I'm going to do is stop on this again and figure out what's going on. But they do provide other, and that's what the other bag of these are the resistors. I'm sure these are different values resistors for the ones that they want you to replace, which is stupid. If you ask me, why in the world didn't they just put the right ones in to begin with, or tell you to put the right ones in to begin with? That's my way of thinking on this. Otherwise, they basically have a crappy kit here, and they're wanting you to do the troubleshooting in advance, and that's stupid. My opinion only, but like I said, you get a little snap or a little pop, that's all you get. So, and at least the, isn't correct now. I haven't got this in, but if you snap that in there, like I said, it works correctly now. And this works fine too. So, like I said, that part of it's done. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I don't know that I'm going to go through that and try to change those stupid resistors out. Again, I think if they would have just told you to begin with to put this one or that one in instead of the ones they provided to go in there, then, you know, maybe that's different. I don't know. But to my opinion, it is a very stupid kit. It's typical of the Chinese. Don't get me wrong. The radios that they sell for $6 or $7 or whatever it is, those blue ones and the red ones, the same exact way. They have the same jumpers that you have to solder over after you check the bias, is what they're saying. And I don't know if they don't know how to design things that work or what, or if they're just trying to teach you something or whatever. It's stupid, though. So if you get the thing in your mind that I might be a little bit upset about this, well, I am, yeah. Because I didn't pay $6 or $7 for this kit. I paid quite a bit more, and anybody that's bought one of these knows they're not that cheap. And for it to be of that substandard quality, I just think it's crappy. And like I said, it should not be that way. You should have a kit you're given the correct parts for, you solder in the parts, and the radio works. And that's the way that's supposed to work. Obviously, something's not right with it. It does come on. That part of it works. And there is noise coming out of the speaker, just not very much. So, you know, it's just stupid. Okay, I've said my piece twice now. So, I think we're going to stop on this, and that's going to be that for that. So, until I calm down and decide what to do, I may come back then. I don't know. We'll see. I'm back once again at YouTube. I have calmed down just a bit. I won't say that I'm perfectly calm, but I feel like much better. I took some time. I had my supper and watched a couple videos, and so anyway. Well, here's what I think. I think this kit is a better quality kit than your average cheap Chinese, I should say, radio that you buy for. Now, I priced it out. I looked at it. Of course, it's went up. I think I paid $6 for the last one I bought, but they're up to around 8 something now, and with shipping and stuff like that, it's around 10. So this one I think was around 30 on Amazon. So here's the thing. I think it's deceiving the way they advertise this. I don't think they really fully tell you that you're basically going to be troubleshooting the radio, and I think they put the excuse in, or whatever you want to call it, as a learning experience, or whatever you want to call it like that, and that's okay, but just understand what you're getting, you know, when you buy this. And like I said, it is a nice looking radio, no doubt about that, and that's not the point. To me, when you buy a kit like this, especially paying this price, it should be a straightforward, you know, install the parts, wire it up, whatever you have to do, and maybe adjust the IF transformers to tweak it. That ain't bad. And but that should be it. I don't think you should have to go in and troubleshoot the circuitry itself. I mean, if I hadn't have read some things I did read on online, and I think I probably would have just pursued this as a broken radio that I would, you know, any other radio, and test it and find out, you know, what's what. But there was one suggestion on one of the reviews that I read on Amazon. The guy said that kind of agreed with, you know, the fact that it's really kind of stupid to do the current test, because a lot of people don't have that kind of meter, or don't have the cheap meters, sometimes don't do that, and they don't go down into the micro and milliamps. So he said just measure the collector voltage on those circuits where those traces are cut out like that. So that would be A, B, and C on the schematic, and that would give you the same indication, or should, I think. So, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm not today, But that's how I will pursue this. And I also may use my little signal injector that Bob sent me and try to inject that into the volume control and see if we actually get some sound out of it. Because like I said, right now there's nothing but a rushing sound like from the speaker that sounds like there is audio present, but without any kind of amplification or any signal to amplify. Really can't tell, but so I'm going to do that. But again, this is probably tomorrow that I'll do it, if I do it at all. But like I said, it did upset me quite a bit, and I read a lot of different things. One was on Antique Radio Forum, and they talked about the same thing, how this is not really an honest kit. I'm wondering that if maybe the Chinese have gotten in trouble for doing this. I'm sure there's some patents on these circuitries that would they may be using or whatever. So maybe if they don't supply the board fully in circuit or whatever, maybe they're getting by it that way. I don't know. I just know that most of your kits, basically just here's your parts, here's your board, put them together and it works, and that's pretty much it. And so this one does not do that. And there's always, I also read some things about these diodes down here that a lot of people put those in backwards. I'm going to double check those, make sure I've got them in right. And I think the rest of it was pretty straightforward as long as I didn't have any bad soldered bridges or anything like that. And I did have a couple, but I fixed them as I did them. It was pretty easy to see. And this is all correct now. Like I said, that's all right like it's supposed to be. And I think if you actually read the instructions, it may be more clear on this than, me. I don't read instructions that much. But I did go over them quite a bit and to see about that current measurement and things like that. But anyway, that's what I feel like on this radio. Again, if you just want a radio that's gonna be an easy kit to assemble and have it play after basically you put it together, I think you're better off getting the $10 one from eBay. And I will put a picture of that and a link to it down in the description. And also to this one, because like I said, it is, it's your choice, I guess. But I just want everybody to know there is a difference in these. And like I said, the quality of the kit itself, I think, is better than the average cheap Chinese kit. Obviously, the case and everything is a little bit nicer and stuff like that. But again, it depends on what you want. And if you're just looking for something thrilled to put together and hear it play, I think the cheaper ones are probably your better bet. Again, like I say, this is a far more complicated. And that was the other thing I wanted to touch on. The instructions, while are better than what's supplied with the cheap Chinese kits, they're still not very good. And for one thing, that booklet should be printed on a thing where you can just flip the pages instead of having it so big that you don't have room to put it anywhere or look at it. You have to turn it over constantly and things like that. That's just not a good way to do it. And I think Tecsun would be better off either just saying goodbye to this and letting some other company pick them up. But, who knows? They may be making a killing on this. Bob said it's probably the same exact kit that you get the cheap Chinese one, and they've just upgraded the case and stuff like that and made a nice instruction sheet for it. And, that's possible. But, again, like I say, it's no big deal. But, like I said, tomorrow maybe I might feel like going into this a little deeper and seeing if I can figure out. I'm going to see if I can find some batteries that are better than what I've got too, in case that is the problem. But again, this made no difference at all when I soldered those jumpers together. I had the exact same sound when I didn't have it. So, to me, that shows that there's no difference in connecting those traces. So I think there may be another problem. And maybe I should find that too. And like I say, I could even use the BDST and get in here and start, tracing that part of it. And like I say, I may do that if I can't get no satisfaction from doing the troubleshooting on the collectors and reading the voltages on those. So that's my next step probably of what I'll do. and we'll go from there and see what happens. But for right now, feeling better about it than I did, but still not happy. So, like I say, we will we will continue this when we continue it. So, join me next time when I try to figure out what's wrong with this silly radio. Okay, we'll see you then. Hi, I am back once again. Like I said, this is the 2P3. I've done some checking, and I used the signal probe here Bob developed, and I managed to put a signal into the volume control and turn the volume up all the way, and I'm barely hearing any kind of noise out of the speaker. So I think, besides that, I took the BDST and probed the same spot to see if I was getting any radio signals through, and I'm not getting radio signals either. So what I'm seeing here is either I have some bad solder joints or bad components, and I'm going to have to go a little bit deeper into it and do some checking on the circuit board itself, make sure I've got some good solder joints and things like that. I thought pretty much when I soldered it, it was correct, but you know, even the most careful person can be wrong time to time. So I am going to go over and check, like I said, those diodes, make sure they're in right. That wouldn't really. The only thing, see, being a solid or a single IC for the audio, you're pretty limited on what could go wrong. You know, is if there's a signal in, there should be a full signal out. And like I said, varying the volume control does turn it up and down, so that part of it's working, but it just doesn't seem to have any kind of volume to it at all. And I know from testing that signal probe before that it puts out a pretty strong signal for audio. So, like I said, I think that is our problem. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go take this into the living room with me, and I've got it disconnected from the speaker so I can go over the basically over the circuitry with my glasses that I've got on now, the magnification glasses, and look at it closely, and while I'm sitting there listening to videos and things, and see if I can discover any problems that might be obvious. Welcome back again, YouTube. Here with you on the back on the Tecsun 2P3. What I have decided to do is make a part 3 of this. And what we're going to do is go over this. You know, I buy radios on eBay all the time, hoping that they're something I can use on my videos to show the repairs, show the diagnostics of it, and things like that. What better radio to do that with than this one, because it's basically dead. No radio signals coming through, no sound coming out of the speaker, even when it's applied directly to the volume control here. So this thing is the ideal radio to show how you would troubleshoot something like this, and I think that's what I'm going to do. Basically, again, what I did was to apply that signal. It's basically an audio tone from Bob's probe at the top of the volume control here, the high side of it. You can see the bottom side of the volume control connects directly to ground, so obviously you're not going to get anything there. So you connect it to the high side. It goes through the volume control, through the capacitor, through the resistor, and directly into the audio amplifier chip, IC1. And from there, it comes out here, pin 6. No, I'm sorry, that's not right. Comes out here. I'll get it right here in a minute. Pin 7 goes through a capacitor there, 220 microfarad. Goes into this headphone jack, earphone jack, whatever you want to call this. And if this is working correctly with nothing plugged into it, it should go directly to the speaker. which one side is obviously connected to ground. So that's all the more is involved in that, and that's what we're going to start out with when we start troubleshooting this. We're going to get this working first, because that's the easiest part. Okay, that's any radio you work on, almost always it's easier to get the amplifier working than anything else. And so I try to do that first. That way I don't have to worry so much about having to use a signal tracer on down the line, because I've already got an audio amplifier connected to it. So, like I say, I'm not saying we don't use a signal tracer. We may want to try to trace the signal over in this section somewhere. But again, like I said, at least you can tell when you repair something over here if it actually fixed it or not. So that's what we're going to do on that. And like I said, I just kind of want to come back and show you guys that. So there will be a part 3 on this, and we will delve into this, and I'm going to try to make this a little more clear on the screen so we can show both things going on at once. And when I make a check, you'll be able to see where I make it on the circuit as well as the radio. So like I said, we're just going to kind of make a teaching moment out of this, I think, even though I'm no teacher, and I've said that many times. And I think I already mentioned that I did check all these diodes here. They're all correct. I checked the detector diode, wherever it's at over here. There it is. It was correct, and now that doesn't mean it's good, but it does mean it's in there correct. I did find one solder joint just by looking at it on a resistor, and I don't know which resistor it was, but it looked a little suspicious. It didn't really appear to have much solder on it at all, and it just looked like it was tacked in. And so I may go back over that and double check that with the soldering iron once I get it back hot again, and do that. So alright, that's what we're going to do. I think this is going to work out nice in the long run, because obviously we have to troubleshoot this radio, and we have a radio with no sound and no radio activity that can be detected. So as Bob said, best place to start is voltages, and that's what we'll check. So join me for that in part 3. And I do appreciate you guys watching this, and sorry it's taken a long time to get this little radio to work. But, when you take shortcuts sometimes, that's what happens. And you know me, I don't like doing things like that. I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but Daniel over there, he checked his. His was in the proper range, and here's the ranges for that. I don't know if you saw them. 1C1 or LC1 or whatever that is. Should be between 0.3 and 6. I can't see it. It's in red, and I can't really see that sitting here. Okay, 0.3 to 0.6 milliamp is what it's supposed to be. This LC2 or whatever it is 0.3 to 0.6, same thing. And this one should be LC3 as 0.5 to 1 milliamp. So that's what they need to be. Now, if you look also on the voltages, you can see this one's supposed to be 2.8 on the collector right here, and this one is supposed to be 1.6, it looks like. Again, I can't hardly see it. The sun's shining, and it's shining kind of brightly. And this one, if we look over here, is supposed to be 2.8, is also on the collector. So we can check those. That's a good way to check on the radio when we get to that part. But again, like I said, we're gonna focus on the audio first and go from there. I don't want to get into it too much. So, all right, we'll be back next time with the part 3. So join us for that. And thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it, and we will see ya.